Hello and welcome to a conversation with Richard Ladkani, the producer, director, cinematographer of the amazing new film YANUNI. 5 years in the making, Richard tells the story of Juma Xipaia and Hugo Loss and their amazing journey in fighting for the Amazon and the Yanomami people and stopping the deforestation of the Amazon. It's an amazing film, Richard, and thank you so much for diving so deep, giving your full heart to making this amazing film. Can you start with,
Thank you.
how did you meet Juma?
Well, it wasn't easy to meet Juma, to be honest, because, when I started this process, I was looking for interesting characters and people, and she was given to me by a journalist, like her name, popped up, and she said, you have to talk to Juma Shipaya. She's this amazing leader from the Amazon, and you can't start your filming if you haven't talked to her first. But the problem was that she had been in hiding almost a year by the time I contacted her because she just survived the sixth attempt on her life. And she was basically, she called it the forced silencing period, where she retreated to the forest and she didn't want to speak to anyone. So that journalist who connected us and brought us together was the force that made it all possible. Juma trusted her. The journalist trusted me. Her name is Eliane Broom. She's a very famous journalist from Brazil. And she put us in touch, and it was, an amazing first experience of connecting to her because Juma was so powerful in her poetic way of talking about her life and her mission. And first she was very timid as well because she wasn't sure if she could trust me. I also quickly realized that she had a real problem with the fact that there was a translator on the line because I didn't speak Portuguese back then. Because the translator was in fact a security risk, that she wasn't sure if she could openly talk to me. So the thing developed in an interesting way where the first thing I had to do is establish trust and make her feel comfortable in sharing her experience and embarking on this idea of a film at all, because when you're in hiding, how do you want to be the centerpiece of a film, right? So that was a long stretch. But I made her a proposition early on where I said, this film could help protect you as well. It could be a tool in your effort to fight, the invaders. It could be a tool of resistance that, if used well, could, go a long way. Because if millions of people know who you are and know your story, it could just change the whole narrative of them coming after you. Because if you're someone that is recognized around the world, it could be a shield of protection, because it's much harder to take out a celebrity than an unknown indigenous leader that lives somewhere in the forest that nobody will ever hear about if they disappear. And that was intriguing to her, and that's how our journey began. And it was a journey of trust and transparency and also leadership. I wanted her to lead the way, and that's how the collaboration started. That was in 2019, actually, at the end of it. Yeah. Yeah.
How long did you two discuss like how long the filming would go on for?
No, no, there was no narrative like that, which is something she appreciated. I basically told her, all I would love for you to allow me is to be the fly on a wall in your life, to be amongst your family, amongst your people, and see where the story will take us. And she was intrigued by this idea that there was no script, there was no precondition, that I didn't have a plan that I imposed on her saying, I think the story should be like this, and it should go that way, and then should end like this, and this is what we should talk about. It was like, I knew if she would allow me in, it would be an amazing opportunity to show a story of a life in crisis, in constant battle mode, of someone who's simply trying to survive, to resist, and to advance the future of her people. And I knew if she would allow me a presence in her life, it would make an amazing story, because her life has been in crisis mode for the past, since she was a teenager, for like 15, 17 years. It's been a constant battle. So if I could be within the inner circle of her family, of her life, of her people for enough time, I was thinking 2 years maybe, we would have something. I didn't know it would take 5 years, but that was fine. It was basically the time it needed, which is also an indigenous way that I learned is take your time, don't stress things. Let the story come to you, let things unfold, and you will also know when the film will be ripe for editing and delivery. So
Yeah.
we followed
Well,
this open mind. Yeah.
I think it's brilliant that you start the film with a clip from Juma from 2009, 16 years
Mm.
ago, where she's asked about her future, and she's talking about, well, my future is to fight for Indigenous people, and I will give my life to this. It is such a stark
Yeah.
tone setter for the whole rest of the journey. And then you see her years later, and you just see in her face the intensity of what she's living through. It's just a remarkably rich experience. Did the
Yeah.
trust? So I really appreciate hearing that. And did how did were there turning points in when Juma realized you are for real and you're really committed to this story? What were some of those turning points in the journey?
Well, for one, she really appreciated that I learned Portuguese right away. So it was basically, I recognized the fact that she didn't feel safe with a translator between us. So I took intensive lessons, and 6 months later, we could speak without translator. And she was like, okay, this guy means, business. Like he's learning a new language to make this film. That's something. And then I was willing also to just spend as much time as needed and be there when things happen. So we would also create a network that she thought was very solid and well thought of indigenous and also local filmmakers that could jump in case something happened while I was in my home city of Vienna, Austria, like 6,000 miles away. So we had a group of people that we could rely on of cinematographers and local, cameramen that could just basically drop everything, get on a plane or get on a boat or get in whatever, and just get to her place and start filming when things happen. So she understood this was for real, that I meant what I said. And also I really wanted her to feel in control. So I offered her a producer role on the film. And I said, look, if you have any doubts whatsoever that this film is going the wrong way, this will protect you. If you feel your security is at risk because of the film or because of these scenes being in the film, you can veto that. So I wanted to give her as much liberty and comfort as possible of being in the process because I recognized the fact that she was putting her life on the line and that of her family to
Yeah.
be in this film. There was a lot of trust from her um, to agree to everything, to become part of this huge process of a film. And I needed her to feel safe and empowered. And there were no real moments of friction between us, but I think it was this resilience to keep going wherever the story went that she appreciated. For example, when the government changed and she was called to become a secretary of indigenous rights and she had to move to Brasilia and she entered government and everything changed. She was like, I think this is a real problem for you, right? Because I'm not going to be in the Amazon fighting for my people anymore. I'm now going to be in the capital city of Brazil and in an office. I'm like, no, no, no. We will improvise. We go with the flow. We just let it happen and let's see where this goes. And that's how this collaboration worked. And I think she felt comfortable.
No, it's amazing. There's so much rising tension and immediacy in film. I'm thinking of one scene where Juma comes upon a rally in Altamira just before the election, where so the
Mm.
film starts with where when Bolsonaro's still in power, and we follow through the election, and she comes upon a rally, and she and her team are like debating, do we join the rally or not? They're in a car but they
Yeah,
get out and they know it's dangerous and for
yeah,
her and yet they go out because everyone else is out and you've got to show up, right? And she's there in the streets, uh even though we just heard that like other Lula supporters have been killed and shot by Bolsonaro folks, and we see Bolsonaro trucks driving by. It's the immediacy of the filmmaking is so it just creates this dramatic tension that's very powerful. Uh, but I'm wondering if,
Mm.
like, for you behind the camera, you're making constant decisions about like Juma's safety, where to be, what to do. Like, what was that like for you?
Well, you picked up on a lot of details. I love that. Because it was the filmmaking was very much like embedded, you know. I tried to be as invisible as possible and to be part of her life and to make the audience feel what it's like to be on the front line of defense, to be this like this barrier between invaders and total destruction in the Amazon. Those are the indigenous people. That is her life. So her life is always at risk. And sometimes there were these moments that exemplify that. The moment you refer to in the car was one of those where I literally am following just instinct. I call it instinctual filmmaking, you know, from the gut. Basically, like, where does the camera point to? Where does the audience want to look right now? What do we want to pick up on? Which details matter? And and this was the intensity that I think makes this film quite special in that regard, that I really tried to take the audience on this backseat of Juma's life, you know, like get people on board and feel those little moments that matter. Another one is when she forgets her child at school, you know, and just there's so much stress going on and there's so much happening. And she on camera just realizes, oh my God, I forgot my son. Oh my God, you know, like I'm such a bad mother. Like, can this happen? But it's just those moments, I think, these very private moments. Do I get out of the car or not? And then stop, don't get out. Or, oh my God, I forgot my son. Or when she's submitted to this hospital because she doesn't feel her baby anymore and it might have died, you know.
So
And
scary.
and these were the moments where I was so privileged to just be there, unrecognized, sort of like I over time of the years, I just became invisible and the camera was just there. She didn't care anymore. She didn't even see me anymore. Things happened, and that's the best, highest level I think that you can achieve when people just don't know you're there, but there is a professional camera rolling, there is sound rolling, and you capture life as it is. And this was sort of the goal from the beginning, is just whatever it takes,
Yeah.
make people feel they're there in the moment.
The older I get, Richard, I start to feel like the camera is what becomes invisible. Like you still remain a person to Juma, and Juma is a person to you, of course. Like you're still two people spending time
Mm,
together, but it's the more that the camera disappears because you have to still
true.
be a person in the room, right? And if you look
Yeah.
Portuguese, then certainly you are. But it's just a testament
Yeah.
to the trust between you and Juma that all these incredibly intimate and powerful moments happen. Another moment that really stuck out to me was when Juma goes to NYU. She goes to New York City
Yeah.
and talks at a conference about the Yanomami people, and she leaves the room at one point. There's all these just very hard accounts of children starving and rape and just the brutality of the invaders. And there's a moment when Juma needs to just she needs a break, and she
Yeah.
puts her like headdress, her cover down.
Kokar, it's
Car,
called, yeah,
thank
the
you.
crown.
I
Mm,
wanted to ask you what that was
yeah.
called. She puts that down, and you do a beautiful, powerful moment where the sound drains from the room except for Juma's breathing. She leaves. We kind of hear the distant conference continuing, but we're with her, and then she comes back in the room, and she then takes the mic and is very, very powerful. But the interior private moment that you give us, that Juma gives us and you give us, is
Mm,
so just powerful and beautiful and raw. And it just makes me love her all
thank
the
you.
more.
Mm,
And
yeah.
I just think it's brilliant cinematic filmmaking within a documentary context.
Thank you so much. I mean, you know, these moments were the hardest to film because there's a couple of them where she just breaks down, and I was going to the edge of what's possible without being rude or being manipulative or in any way changing the narrative by any means, or by being too pushy or something. Like when these things happen, you know she's leaving the room because she needs space. And here I am with my camera following her, which is the worst thing you can do. It feels like you could get this paparazzi feeling, right? So in this moment, for example, I actually first stayed outside the door and I filmed through a window just to capture the moment of her needing space and privacy. And then quietly I get outside, far away. I position my camera quietly and I keep on filming. And I
Yeah.
notice, I observe her. Is there a moment of what are you doing where she turns away, or she gives me clearly a feeling like not now? But she didn't. And she had forgotten me. She didn't care. And also when we talked about it afterwards, there was another moment, for example, in a car where she breaks down in tears because she finds out her friend had committed suicide. And I'm there with a camera 3 feet away from her, thinking, oh my God, like, can I keep filming? Is this appropriate? What do I do? Right. And then it comes again from the gut. I turn my camera down. I kind of get it out of the way when the time feels that now it becomes her private moment, and I give the audience as well the breathing room. But to find that moment that is right for the film and that is also right for the real drama of her friend having committed suicide, this is where intimacy, getting to know each other, friendship, trust comes into play.
Yeah.
And because it took so many years to do this, we developed this balance. And when we talked about it, she actually said, look, I understand why you're doing this. It's because you are showing our lives as they are. And when drama happens and I find out about these moments, it's okay to document it because people should know
Yeah.
what we're going through and what is happening. So
Yeah.
she understands. She said, I forgive you. If you ever feel you're overstepping, I'll let you know. But I understand your role, and I know that I just need to be myself. And if
That's
we can work this out, the balance can we find the balance and then it can work. And I
That's
think,
that's a gift. That's a gift that Juma gave you to say, "I forgive you." I feel like I've learned over the years that you can feel like the necessity of what you're doing, and you can also feel shame, or
yeah,
that question. The thing you said, you have to ask yourself, "Is this appropriate?" You have to always question yourself, and
always.
that's one way to try to keep yourself ethical and honest
Yeah,
in pursuit of the story. But it's hard. It's
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 hard.
it's really hard.
Yeah.
The film also follows Ugo and his team of Ibama, the unit that goes after these poisoners, these mercury poisoners, and these invaders. There's several scenes that are just very harrowing, like edge of your
Mm.
seat. Like, oh my God, is someone going to get killed? Are there going to be explosions? I'm wondering, are you, Richard, going to get killed in an explosion? What were those like to film?
Yeah, God. It was a huge challenge, to be honest, because I didn't know how hard it was going to be to follow Ibama. They actually made me doubt the decision to go with them very many times. Like Hugo said, "Are you sure you want to do this? Because you're not a trained soldier. You will take the seat of a soldier. We'll be down one unit because of you. Usually we are 10 people on two helicopters. If you take a seat, then obviously nine of us plus you will have to do like take care of yourself. You will have to make sure you stay out of the line of fire in case there's warfare. Um, you will have to take care of all your gear and food and sleeping utensils and anything. You will just be your own unit. Are you sure you can handle it? And I was doubtful to some degree, but I was also driven by the urge to film the front lines of the catastrophe. Like only with Hugo and his team could I reach those super dangerous areas where the Amazon is being cut down, where the rivers are being poisoned, where these giant machines are at work. Because with Juma, this would have been impossible. We would have talked about it, we would have heard about it. Maybe I could have shown some pictures, but it would never be the same as making the audience feel the devastation firsthand. So Hugo opened that opportunity. And as he was her husband, and I wanted to stay true to her storyline, it was sort of like through her story, I find an opportunity to show his side of the battle, because she also fears for him many times, right? She says, I'm afraid, please don't go this time. They're dangerous, you know, and he was like, I have to do it and I have to go. And he goes, and there's, you know, I needed to understand what is also the future father of her child going through. And what, so there was many reasons for me to go. So that's why I did go. But I I was surprised myself in what kind of situations we found each other, and that, you know, that there's this one moment where we almost blow up on a ship because a small mistake was made and a chain kind of, you know, got jammed and they didn't get away and the thing was kind of going to blow,
Crazy.
and literally that
It
was
is,
a
it is,
moment.
let me just say, Richard, that is so suspenseful. It's ridiculous. It is like I'm yelling at the movie at that moment. Just
Yeah, thank you. But literally, this was the closest I've come to death in a long time, because I was shocked that we were in a situation where they didn't know how to solve the situation besides using their machine guns and shotguns to kind of try to get the chain to break and hit this little piece of chain from a moving target, right? And everything was just wild. And I what I did was I just told myself, just keep on rolling. Nothing, like, basically it won't change if you put the camera down or not. You will still be in the situation. And I was always thinking, you are fathers and, you know, people too who want to live. So as long as you are not jumping into the water and you are panicking, I'm not gonna panic. But it took a long, it was this kind of self-convincing of like, should I jump and get the fuck out of here, or should I stay and document what is happening right now at the risk of my life? But in a way, I was just like, I was looking at eyes. It's kind of like when you're on a plane and you look at the stewardess of the flight. Are they panicking because of turbulence? No, they're not. So you're fine. So as
yeah.
long as they were felt in control to some degree, although they were losing control, I was like, I'm not. I'm just gonna keep documenting the moment. And yeah, it's basically what you see there is a one shot. There's hardly any edits in it. It was this 90 seconds of madness of like, you can hear the fire escalate. You can hear that pressure valve going, and you know, once the heat reached that oxygen tank in the middle that they placed there to blow the ship, then it would blow. And we knew from the sound of it we were seconds away. And in a, you know, in a last minute effort, Hugo of all people, the hero, and her husband was able to shoot the chain from 15 feet away and get us away from the boat before it blew up. And yeah, it was crazy. And it made the cut because it was very real. It also showed human error, you know, like that. I
Sure.
think was fair enough. This is a documentary. It's not,
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
No,
heroic or anything. It's just how it is. And
yeah. The film
yeah,
has range. I mean, I think you have to have that moment in the film, but to me, it's like, and that's a very powerful moment. But the moments, private moments with Juma are so much what stick with me. Her wisdom, you know, in New York, she's looking out at the city and she says, I feel so alone because everyone
yeah,
seems to be asleep.
yeah,
And another moment when she says, the greatest, and this is really, I think, the heart of the gift of this movie is that she says the greatest destruction and degradation is in our minds because we don't question where our stuff comes from. We just consume, we just eat the world up, we humans, and we're not thinking about
yeah.
harmony of the earth. And her clarity about that and the way she says it, her power is the real gift of the movie. And
100%.
I
Yeah.
just think it's a brilliant, 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 brilliant. How did how
Thank
did
you. Yeah.
How did Juma react to seeing the film for the first time?
She she cried. Um, she couldn't believe how we put all these many years of stories together into less than 2 hours, and also how she felt it truly captured her as she is. She said to me, there are moments that as a woman I may not want or be comfortable like the way you showed me or something like that, but that doesn't matter because you captured the essence of who we are. And that she felt that we also made a film that was not just about Juma. It was representative of her people and the struggle of her people. But this was an opinion back then. What we actually did is we showed the film to her community first. So she said, I need this to be seen by my people in Karima in the forest, and they need to be able to comment on it. And I thought it was an amazing idea. So after she saw it first with Hugo together and approved the cut with some minor changes that were fine, just like little things, nothing major, we showed the film in her village. And that was the breakthrough because her family was there, her many sisters and brothers and uncles and relatives, and the Xipaia people came together. It was like a feast. They put up a big screen under the tent and they had popcorn. They love popcorn as well. And they had kashiri, which is this local beer that they brew from Amazonian herbs. And they celebrated the film and they loved it. And that was for us the breakthrough. That's when she said, we feel represented. Even people from her community said, for the first time, we understand what Ibama actually does, that they're fighting for us, that they are on our side of the battle. And they said, I want to sign up for Ibama. I want to be an indigenous officer fighting for our people as an Ibama officer. Um, and they saw themselves in many ways represented, and they appreciated so much. I remember how much that touched Juma, that we did show the little battles within the privacy of a life that come with it. Being a mother, being a parent, having to struggle with stress and with like intermarriage problems as well, because you're like you're far apart. There are issues. It's the battle is very complex, and they felt it's all there. It's not just the front line of like battle and protest and coming after the invaders. It's also the little battles that they fight every day. And they felt
Because the
one
word
with the film.
spiritual fatigue, at one point she says we're fighting spiritual fatigue. And that really,
Yes. Absolutely. And it was also for the first time they saw what Juma does when she leaves the territory and leaves the country. They said, we had no idea that when you go to Glasgow to COP26 or something, we thought it's glamorous. You have the best time, you live in the hotels and you eat great food, but it doesn't look glamorous at all. It looks like you're having a horrible time out there actually, and that you need to eat that terrible food, and you feel sick by all these people and the noise and everything. And they were so grateful to understand the complexity of the battle themselves through the film. And that was unique, and that she appreciated that, and she thought this was so important for her to get the backing of the community and to feel this is their film. And she always said this must be Yanuni must be from the territory to the world. And she thought we achieved that together, of course. Like it's not me, it's us together on this 5 years of a journey. We did that together.
it feels like that. It feels like a huge collaboration. And it's just a remarkable achievement, Richard. Thank you for making it. Thank you to, please pass on my thanks to Juma. And as you know, as you take the film
Thank
out in
you.
the world, hopefully,
Hmm.
just because Lula is president again doesn't mean the Amazon is safe in any way. We have so much work to do. So I
Thank
thank you
you.
so much for the film, and also thank you for being here today. And thank you everyone for watching Yanuni, the film, and for being part of this conversation.
Thank you so much, Steve. That was amazing. Great questions, and I appreciate everything also you did right now for the film. And let's hope to get it out to as many people as possible. So thank you so much.
Mhm.